me tell you about a friend. It's Craig Leblanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
A Parks and Rec director should describe himself as that they run a multi-million-dollar agency that has multi-million-dollar facilities. This came directly from Matthew and from him noticing that we really undervalue ourselves.
It's not to come across as arrogant or, to look down on others, but, really the value of what we're doing for our communities and the responsibilities that we have. When I meet with camp staff, I always reminded them, you have a very incredible job. You're being asked to entrust in the lives of these children to help set the foundation, teach them how to cooperate, teach them skills that they can use the rest of their life, and don't undervalue that. And it's probably one of the hardest jobs you'll ever do, but it's probably the most rewarding job you'll ever do, working in a camp setting.
Again, here, this is Craig Leblanc with the Daily Parks and Rec Show, 12 noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. We're creating a media company specifically dedicated to one market, one topic, which is parks and recreation nationwide. And we have got one of our all-stars with us today, a guest, Matthew Ellmann from Illinois, correct?
Correct.
And which is, I don't even want to say it's an opinion, but after interviewing over 300 people across the nation, I got to say that Illinois just seems to be such a leader in Parks and Recreation as a state. And you were one of those great leaders that is a product of that. And so I would like to talk about why you think that is. But before we get into that, maybe get a little bit into your background. But well, first of all, how are you doing today on this Monday?
Really good, and it's so wonderful to be here and to be speaking to an audience that obviously understands and appreciates the value of what we do for our community. So I'm delighted to have this opportunity.
Yeah. And for those of you listening, if you're a director, and we have a lot of regular listeners on the show that come here each and every day, Matthew is one of those guys that I really wanted to highlight his career, a lot of his mental framework that we discussed in the pre-show call is just gold. So he's got a lot of wisdom to share, and maybe he can say where that came from, and then maybe even especially share with where he kind of floundered around, which is where you might find yourself, and how he came to a lot of these conclusions. But maybe we can kick it off with this one. You've heard me say many times since I've spoken with Matthew that a Parks and Rec director should describe himself as that they run a multi-million-dollar agency that has multi-million-dollar facilities and that care for the health and well-being of their community. This came directly from Matthew and from him noticing that we really undervalue ourselves. But I'd like for you to kind of pull back the curtain and tell us how that came about in your mind.
Throughout the years, it just seems that when I was in situations where I would be introduced, and people would inevitably fall to the question, what do you do for a living? What do you do? And I would always kind of struggle with how to answer that. I would typically say, well, I'm in Parks and Recreation, or I'm working for local government. But what I came to realize is that we're kind of undervaluing ourselves. And we seem to always kind of put ourselves in the back seat instead of the front seat.
Mhm.
And so started to really reframe that. And it's not to come across as arrogant or, to look down on others, but, really the value of what we're doing for our communities and the responsibilities that we have to oversee, so many employees, facilities that are worth millions and millions of dollars, and the community's assets. And so why not speak to that and speak to, you know, in a way that obviously puts us on the
Mhm.
pedestal we should be placing ourselves on.
Absolutely. And I'll give y'all an example of kind of a speed roll that me and Devin came up with. Devin Stalder, we just did episode number 88 with him, which was released today on our YouTube channel. He's over in Sahuarita, Arizona. I hope I'm not butchering that too much. But as an example, he would say, I manage a $164 million real estate portfolio with a $5 million annual budget. We're improving upon it at a pace of 5 million a year. We only have about 40,000 citizens that we do this for. And our whole purpose is to increase the quality of life in that community. And so you
Hmm.
see the sheer, and that's what I don't think a lot of non-Parks and Rec people understand is the magnitude and the breadth and the depth of the impact that this, just from a financial standpoint, if you had to put your park system up for sale, not in a large city, it's 164 million you would have to pay to reacquire these assets. And that does not include the economic impact of of the homes touching these parks, which many can double in value or at least go up 30, 40%. Um, yeah, so I love this framework. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Anything else on that one?
No, it's just, I would encourage the people out in the audience to think about that and, think about an answer that obviously really encapsulates not only the value of what they do, but helps make you stand tall.
Mhm.
It might be about the contributions and the benefits you're providing people, that you're helping improve the quality of their lives, you're helping give them lifelong skills. People who are in the aquatics industry are teaching people to swim, who are potentially saving lives down the road. So, speak to those things and don't undervalue yourself. That's
Yeah.
the message.
Yeah, and you certainly can get some numbers like we did, with Devin, 164 million real estate portfolio or, but some of these things you just cannot put a value on proposing to your wife under the massive oak tree that's been at the park for 200 years or family reunion or spending time with your new little grandkid or that first home run. I mean, these are priceless moments that you capture in these facilities that have been a part of the community almost since the beginning of the community. And that's almost an intangible, but it is taking this financial resource and manpower to facilitate all these priceless moments. And I think the better we can get at describing that, uh, both to our elected officials and then also, any other stakeholders in here, then we might not have so much trouble asking for help, asking for participation, asking for
Right.
attendance, because it really is super valuable. What are some of those other, I guess, priceless things that Parks and Rec brings to its community?
Without a doubt, creating memories, creating positive memories and impressions that obviously build the foundation of who we are and what we want to achieve.
Mm,
And when you think about your past, you tend to remember those positive memories and reflect upon them. And I used to be very heavily involved in the camping industry and working with the American Camping Association, and um, that was kind of my foundation. And when I meet with camp staff, I always reminded them, you have a very incredible job. You're being asked to entrust in the lives of these children to help set the foundation, teach them how to cooperate, teach them skills that they can use the rest of their life, and don't undervalue that. And it's probably one of the hardest jobs you'll ever do, but it's probably the most rewarding job you'll ever do working in a camp setting. And you think about it, teachers go through major schooling, uh, they're they're um, they're getting their degrees and they're entrusted to take care of children in the classroom. Well, camp counselors, they do it generally at a younger age, and they're responsible for these kids for 6, 8, 10 hours a day,
mhm.
and not only their safety and well-being, but also that they're coming away with skill sets, and that's really important, and that's something to be extremely proud of.
Yeah, and though I've never run a summer camp under Parks and Recreation, I did work for a company called UCA. It was a Universal Cheerleading Association. I was a collegiate cheerleader at University of Kentucky, and that was our summer job. They would give us these book of plane tickets, and we would fly from college to college, and then like 2,000 high school and grade school girls would show up, and you would be assigned 3 squads of like 20 girls. Now I was college age at the time, but I remember I also ran boys club, father-son clubs, and our high schoolers, we would assign them, 10 fifth graders. And it is super challenging because that age group is nonstop. They're always getting into something, and you gotta keep an eye on every one of them. And so you're on for 8 straight hours, going from event to eating to, you know, starting the next event, making sure everybody gets there. Of course, kids are constantly hurting themselves because 'cause you're playing kind of rough and tumbly sports and stuff, but, it is such a great maybe you can speak about the leader that you have to become when you're a high schooler, when you're assigned this little group of small kids to manage and through summer camp.
Well, first of all, just to put yourself in that arena is something you should be proud of, and you're willing to take that on, and the responsibility that comes with it. But one of the things that I stressed and learned this from many of my mentors is that you're there to obviously protect their safety and well-being, but more
Mhm,
importantly, you're there to help them grow their skill sets and learn through those play experiences. And one of the things that always frustrated me about camps in particular was we spent so much time training for the what ifs. What if there's a tornado? What if there's,
mhm,
and now what if there's an active shooter? And what if there's this? And those things are really important. I don't want to undervalue that, but what really should be training them on is behavior and how to encourage and build enthusiasm in the kids and how to help them work cooperatively, and the things that really camp and those after school programs are really about. And that was
mhm,
always kind of a conflict for me. So I always made sure that our trainings were really built on foundations of what really makes kids tick and how to work with kids.
mhm,
But the most important thing here is that you know it's a very important and honorable position to hold. A camp counselor, a camp director, aquatics leader, all of these positions that involve parks and recreation, and same with working with seniors and other and adult populations, whether it be running softball leagues or it being running senior trips. You have that health and well-being of your participants, but you're also trying to help them learn,
mhm.
grow, and have memories that
Yeah,
are positive that they can take away. And people come into these environments, with a lot of baggage, stress in their lives, health issues. So we can be that escape. We can be that avenue to really make those experiences special for people,
mhm,
and they can walk away obviously in a better place than when they came in. And that's something we should be pretty excited about being able to do day to day and in
mhm.
our careers.
Yeah, and we can think back to some specific events that I know are gonna unfold, in front of you as a camp counselor or as a child. There's gonna be a time where you're assigned to a group of kids, and many of them know one another, and you don't know any of them, so you already feel like you're an outsider and you're only, like, 10 years old. Or that you hurt yourself or you get picked last, or there's maybe you get bullied a little bit, and here you are, this camp counselor has to deal with this little, emotional, um and a lot of times it's the first time. It's the first time they've been to summer camp, outside of their school environment, and it's a big learning moment, both for the little child and then also for the high schooler that's in charge of helping this little kid deal with being kinda excluded and then go talk to the other group and say, "Hey, why don't y'all let him play along?" Those are some massive life lessons that are happening every single camp, and these are,
Exactly.
super important. Maybe talk about, so how did y'all give them any type of heads up as to what to do when you see a little kid getting, maybe in the corner, getting left out, kind of stuff, or getting bullied, or how did y'all handle those situations?
Well, there's foundational things to really keep in mind, and the one that I really stressed and kind of is part of my mantra is kindness.
Yes.
We have to realize that if we're kind and sincere, and we give attention to those who need it, it can go a long way. And
Mhm.
that's what kids need. They need direction. They definitely need routine and order, but they need kindness. They need sincerity, and you have to come across that. Obviously, you're there to help them,
Mhm.
and that takes extra effort. The whole Parks and Recreation field, whether it involved working with children or leadership of staff, you have to go that extra mile. You have to put and invest in the people in order to get the results that you want, whether it's to lead the team farther and further, whether it's to help that camp group coalesce and harmonize. You're going to have to go that extra mile, and that's what our industry generally does.
Mhm.
That people are willing to put in that extra time, preparation, obviously before you show up for the day, getting in the right frame of mind, and obviously, putting that effort forth through respect and kindness of people.
Mm. Now, where can people go to learn more about, like, is there like, um, I don't know, camp training for, so that you can really see who's doing the best job of running summer camps or get some exposure to it. If let's just say your agency is not just well developed in park and summer camps.
Yeah, I'm not really involved in it now, but the American Camping Association has wonderful training programs
Mhm.
and accreditations and things of that sort, and conventions and conferences. And our state used to have a thing called Mid States Conference that was really wonderful,
Mhm.
where you could get hands-on experience and growth. So you just have to look to those avenues, and some states offer subgroups or sections of their associations that
Mhm.
offer that.
Yeah.
So it's out there. Books are always a good source. Now with the internet, there's a lot there, YouTube videos and things of that sort. But if you look, you'll find the resources that can help you.
Mm.
Um,
Well, maybe we can use this as a segue into your, how do you apply your learnings? So a lot of times we attend these state events, and to attend them, typically you're having to pitch this idea of taking a week off with some staff to your city manager. Um, Give us your pitch that you used well and how you referred back to what you've the takeaways and the things you've applied.
Yeah, and you use some key buzzwords there. I used to struggle with, getting the funding and getting the support at times
Mhm.
from elected officials to help people educate. And, there's this, conferences, especially your national conferences, are generally in places that people look, oh, that's a great vacation spot, whether it be Orlando or San Diego
Mhm.
or, the big cities. And they're there for a reason. They want to attract people to come, but you also, contrary to that, have elected officials say, well, it's a vacation, not and the reality is that the people who are going there, generally, for the most part, are going there for honorable reasons, and they want
Mhm.
to learn and grow in their career path. And I was able to help develop a program called SEAL, which stands for Systematic Employee Applied Learning. And what I stressed as part of that program, and what I used as a tool with the elected officials, what's important is that you're bringing back things that you can apply. You
Mhm.
can learn a lot at a conference, but if you're not applying it, then who's benefiting?
Mhm.
The community is not benefiting, you're not benefiting. So just having that knowledge in your head is one thing, but being able to apply it and put it into practice is what's key. And what I stressed with the employees that I would send, or to the elected officials when I looked for the funding, was, we can show results. We can show how we've applied in the past things that we've gained from these experiences. And it starts with the people going have to sit in a session or be looking for, how can I apply this? What do I want to
Mhm.
apply? And then holding themselves accountable to applying it. And that's what the SEAL program was about.
Mhm.
And being able to come back. And I remember one session I was attending at a conference, and the session wasn't very good, nor was the speaker. And I was sitting next to somebody, and we started chatting in the back, and we developed a connection, and then we shared some examples of things we were doing, and I brought one of their ideas back to my community and applied it. So that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't in there. So
Right.
the benefit and the value, I didn't come from the speaker, but it came from the opportunity that I took advantage of with that individual.
Mm.
Um, yeah, that's the key. It's applying that learning
Yeah.
and bringing it back to your community. And then don't forget you have to go back to those elected officials or your bosses or whoever you're accountable to and share that and say,
Right.
here's what we're doing with what we brought back. Here's how it's benefiting us. And here's some data to obviously validate that.
Mhm.
That can be golden. And they'll remember that. And then when you put forth that budget request next year, you
Mhm.
can then remind them of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
really follow-up is key on that one. Follow up, like you said, with data, backing it up, and so maybe we can speak about what type of data works well in their head, whether it's foot traffic, cost savings, stuff like that.
Yeah, every situation, every community, every agency, every leader group or elected official group speaks differently to what they're looking for. But obviously, dollars speak. That you're bringing in revenue, that you're reducing expenses. But just as importantly, I think you want to see is how we're impacting individuals, how we're impacting the community in a way that can be made tangible. A lot of times you have to do some follow-up work to be able to measure that. So, get your baseline measurement, maybe survey or maybe questions, and then follow up the after. So, for a camp program that you're developing, try to get a pulse on the parents or the kids at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season, and seeing if you've had a measurable impact. So, there are a number of ways you can go about that, but I think you have to really give that some forethought
Mhm.
so that you're prepared. And generally, it's an afterthought, and like, people tell you, after the fact, but what was the baseline beginning? Testimonials are also good too. That you have
Mhm.
people that say, my child, had the best summer ever at camp. Well,
Oh, wow.
probe that. Say what made it better, what made it
Mm.
wonderful. What did they gain from it that you can tell me that I can then use as a promotional tool or use as a way to obviously justify the cost that we're putting into it.
Yeah. And then, that whole adage of, you gotta know what target you're aiming for if you can describe the target. So maybe how do you prepare for attendance of let's say your state or national convention? Because I mean, if you know what you're looking for, like we're having a splash pad, it's our first splash pad. I need to attend the splash pad breakout session. We're struggling with summer camp attendance. And so maybe having a list between you and your attending staff of that we need to go get this information and some feedback and maybe even connect with some people that are doing it well that we could get some resources from afterwards. Talk about this kind of preparation for attendance.
Well, before you even look at the brochures or the information that the conference is putting out, sit down individually and think about what do I want to get out of this experience?
Mhm.
What are things that are my hot topics? What are things that I really feel I need some growth and development in? Then bring those ideas to your supervisor and the people that you report to and see if they are in um, connect to you with that, or if they have additional things that they want you to look into or seek, and then start looking at the information that's available in advance and seeing where you can connect the dots.
Mhm.
Have game plans and backup plans so that if you go to a session on splash pads, but you're not finding, what you want, look for other alternative backup plans. Maybe
Mhm.
the session gets canceled at the last minute and you're scrambling, where do I go next? You should already have that pre-scripted and pre-planned.
Mhm.
You don't go into a football game with only the first three plays
Right.
on paper. You go with multiple, and you're willing to adjust and adapt your plays to what the environment gives you and brings you.
Yeah.
And then, immerse yourself in it. And it's amazing what you can learn, not just in the classroom, but out of the classroom. They say you learn just as much in college out of the classroom as you do in the classroom about life and working with other people and in dorm environments. So those opportunities. So don't just rush back to the hotel to take a nap or to watch TV in your room. Go introduce yourself to people. Go seek out the speaker that you were inspired by to find out if you can make a connection with them, or
Mhm.
people that you just meet in the hallway or conversations you overhear. You know, immerse yourself into those opportunities.
Yeah.
That's what SEAL is all about.
Yeah, it really is important to just it's I guess understanding the power of the ask when you put yourself out there, like you said, you kind of get out of things what you put into them. So if you're going there for a vacation because it's in New Orleans, like it is coming up in a few years, then you'll have a great time, but you may not come back with much evidence that it benefited the city or your team. So if you and you can do both. I've seen people attend these that actually get a lot out of the sessions and have a good time socially and connect with people and the social events that are hosted.
Absolutely. A big part of it is rejuvenation, and commonality. And I've been in situations where people are vetting their frustrations, and they have an audience that understands. They have an
Mm,
audience that can relate to them, and so capitalize on that. There's nothing wrong with that. They're generally in a trusting environment. But rejuvenation is a big part of it. Is we all get uh, we generally in our work life it's produce, 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 and when you go to a conference it's basically absorb, and you're not needing to produce. You produce afterwards with what you want to apply,
mm,
but absorb it and rejuvenate from it. And
mm.
that's something that you can't underestimate the value of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that cyclical framework where like there are time for all things. There's a time to produce, there's a time to absorb, there's a time to rest, there's a time to socialize. And if you're only in one of those categories, I think that's where the danger lies, is I'm just always producing, never taking a break, never recalibrating, never reaching out and asking, is there a different way or anything like that? Where did you get that from? Is that just life lesson or
um, yeah, it's just I always looked forward to conferences. Kind of in my early part of my life, I had a pretty normal childhood, but in my teenage years, it was a little challenging because my parents moved a number of times and got uprooted. So I really had to place myself in environments I was either going to be a introvert and stay at home, and video games didn't exist then, or get out and meet people and do things. So I always thrived in those environments because I learned to do it in my teenage years.
Mhm,
And you know as a result, I just really started to frame myself that those are things that I don't want to take lightly and I want to get the most out of. I want to really come away with as much as possible from those experiences,
mm,
and not just the learning and growing, but the rejuvenation and the things I spoke of just a minute ago.
yeah. Okay, so while we're on this topic, maybe you can help pick apart just well-run state organizations coming from probably the best well-run or at least the most developed, the best funded park system in America is in your state. What advice can you give to those presidents, people on the board, running state associations, contributing, volunteering for that kind of stuff? Is there anything you can, after your career of being involved in all this, that you could share?
Yeah, well, Illinois is a strong state in terms of parks and recreation, and a big part of that is obviously we have strong funding through our tax base.
Mhm,
But you know, we also have an incredible state association that has a lot of opportunities. So what really is something that I benefited from, and my communities benefited from, and my career benefited from was involvement.
mm,
And if you don't have the opportunity through your state association or it becomes challenging to find it through it, say you're remotely located, a growing and a mindset of always learning professional will seek opportunity and take opportunity when it's provided to them.
Hmm.
When I would ask staff to do a special project, there was a huge light bulb that would go off when somebody would say, yes, I would love to do that, or they would want to learn more. That to me was a true eager professional, somebody who truly had the best interests of their career and their communities at mind, because those opportunities weren't looking at as a burden or a draw on their personal life. It was being looked at as a way I could grow and I could develop as a professional. And then you would have the professionals who would basically kind of push away those opportunities. So you've got
Hmm.
to seek those opportunities, but you got to take them when they're given to you, and ask for them.
Hmm.
Um, you know, and it's always an uncomfortable position, especially if it's unknown and you're tackling a challenge that is new territory for you. But
Hmm.
we learn best from seeking those opportunities, taking them, and even if we make mistakes and fail from them, we're going to
Hmm.
grow from them.
Yeah.
I think some of the best learning lessons are our failures, and then those are our building blocks.
Yeah.
So I encourage young professionals and all professionals, whatever stage of your career is take those opportunities when they come up, seek them, and uh, good things will happen.
Hmm. When you witness the sheer level of mastery that can be attained and you see on display when you attend these events, across multiple disciplines, whether it's a special events master and you see them just killing special events in their community, or someone that's doing really good after school care kind of thing, it can be almost intimidating trying to absorb this massive body of knowledge that many times can take 20 years. Is there any advice you can give to those as a start? Like, where do you start when you're faced with this mountain of wisdom you're seeing people do things so well after a career of doing this? Where do you kind of any recommendation on where to start when in this learning process?
Well, it's obviously other leaders, other people who inspire you. One of the things I strongly advocate in my leadership and even in my retirement is having mentors, having people that you can trust and look up to, that can give you their perspective, especially people who are outside your small world. Uh, Having a boss or somebody within your organization that can be a strong leader and advocate for you is great, but having somebody outside it that you can really have those conversations. So I think mentorship is an important part of it. Don't be afraid to do the research, and look into it, and ask a lot of questions.
Mhm.
My family teases me that I'm always asking a question before I get the answer from my prior question. And that's just my personality, but
Yeah.
I feel it's really helped me, because I'm going to ask questions, and don't be afraid to and don't there's no bad questions,
Mhm.
stupid questions. It's if somebody's intent is to learn and grow and better themselves, how can you knock that?
Yeah.
So I would encourage any professional at any level tackling something that's new to them is to do the questioning, seek mentors, seek others to get ideas. And Illinois, that's one of our strengths is that we're not proprietary. So you ask somebody for an example of a policy, or you ask somebody for input or information on their event, they freely give it, because
Mm.
we all rise uh, from that. We all get better, and the competition was never a big concern. That you know we're taken away from somebody else.
Mm.
You kind of have to get away from that mindset. It's not like the corporate sector where it's all about being one step ahead of the other company. This is about us all benefiting and growing and our communities gaining from it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that framework of just being always open to learning more. It reminds me of that Stanford speech that Steve Jobs gave where he encouraged people throughout the whole part of their career to remain curious and to remain hungry. Because a lot of times you're that way when you start because you don't hardly know anything, but then it is common for adults as they get older to get into this. I'm stopping the learning process. I know everything there is to know, or I'm just not hungry anymore to achieve. And but at the same time, you see a lot of adults that remain lifetime learners till the end, like even till they're super old. And that's where I think where excellence comes from. Anything around, like you said, remaining a lifetime learner throughout your career.
Yeah, I think I profess to be wise, but I'm wise enough to know that I can still learn and grow.
Hmm.
Right now, I've been retired 2 years, and I stepped into retirement very excited about the opportunity to finally, have all my own time and to be able to be in leisure. And I struggled with it, and I also, you know, struggle with how to use that time. And
Mm.
so I'm learning and growing in that regard. And I also felt that my purpose had kind of gone away because I had been in Parks and Recreation so long and had, you know, um, these opportunities to have strong purpose in my community and with my teams. And so, what did I do? I got a new job career in
Mm.
sales for an IT company.
Mm.
I didn't grow up with IT. In my age, we didn't have it, and so I had to learn it, and I'm still learning it. And I don't know as much about it as I'd like to, and I need to, and that's growth. But I'm working for a wonderful company, L6 Technology.
Mhm.
We specialize in park and recreation and governmental IT managed services, and so I'm the first to admit I'm still learning and growing in that, and have a long way to go. But I'm not embarrassed to say it.
Mm.
So, um, you know, anybody who tells you they got it all figured out, um, sorry, things are changing so rapidly in our life
Right.
and in our society and in our world. IT is a great example. And just when you think you got it figured out, it's flipping.
Yeah.
So, uh, let's be humble.
Yes.
Let's admit that we can still grow and learn, and that's what keeps us active, and that's what keeps us, I think, um, you know, aging well,
Mhm.
is wanting to grow. Like the craze is going on with pickleball. I want to get better at it. I'm still learning, and I'm not, naive to think that I'm the best player, and so I'm going to take a lesson.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to others who can give me advice. I'm going to watch YouTube videos.
Mm.
Um, you know, it's all about being honest with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it is important. I love how you said, aging well. A death sentence many times is retirement and trying to fish to the end of time or something like that. Sit on the beach with little umbrella drinks. That typically can give you about 5 or 6 years left of your life, and that having purpose and meaning and a strain to learn maybe a new discipline actually keeps you young. It keeps your body needing to be strong. It keeps your mind needing to be strong. And oftentimes, I don't know if you've heard that expression that necessity is the mother of invention.
Hmm.
If your body doesn't need to be strong, your mind doesn't need to be sharp. It just kind of atrophies. And
Hmm.
so definitely a fountain of youth. Having purpose in life is a fountain of
Hmm.
youth. And I like how you said especially with technology, and I'd like to learn a little bit more about what your company does. We usually do kind of a commercial break in the middle, so maybe this can be a time where you can see how people can use what you're doing right now. But to that point, technology is changing everything so fast that you can do more with less. And the human condition has always, since the beginning of time, sought to do more with less. Do a 5-hour job in an hour, do a 10-man job with 2 men. and technology is now amplifying this and changing it so much. But you do have to kind of learn about something because most of these technologies were just born in the last 5 to 10 years.
Mhm.
So maybe speak about how your IT company that you're working with now is helping grow efficiencies inside of Parks and Rec.
Yeah, happily. I think really what it comes down to is that you have to go in with the mindset that it is changing, it's rapidly evolving, and if you're commonplace, if you're just in complacency, you're not going to achieve. There are criminals, and they're out there, people trying to find ways to infiltrate, systems, and just as soon as we figure out how to block them and prevent them, they'll go to the next. So it's a constant. And really, where we, I think, are a difference maker is that we're strategic. It's all about building strategy, and implementing that strategy, and then refreshing that strategy on an ongoing basis. And I think with technology, that's what you have to go in with that mindset.
Mm,
Um, and quite honestly, that's true with everything. I think that you have to have backup plans. You have to kind of have what ifs, and you got to constantly strive and push forward, and never just sit still. I'm proud of the fact that as I came towards retirement, it would have been easy for me just to stay in a stand put maintenance mode
mhm,
as an executive director and take the attitude, hey, I've earned through my years to kind of take the step back and just kind of coast into retirement. No, that wasn't my attitude. It was like I want to go out with a bang. I want to set
mhm,
up the next, um, the next generation for success. I want to put things in place so that they're better going into the future, and I want to continue to push the envelope.
mhm.
And I think that's something I've been very successful at and very proud of. And that's the same with technology is push the envelope.
Yeah,
Um, and you know what? Again, don't be afraid of it. There are a lot of people who are much better with technology than me, so that's why I go back to asking the questions, and taking the time to obviously learn and grow with the experts who are out there.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I'd say
so
trust your ability to learn new things. The human condition is the most adaptable condition there is. That is the human superpower. It's not to outfight the tiger or the lion. They'll kill us every time. But if you can learn new ways to impose force, think yourself out of a problem. That's what humans do. And I would say leveraging that wisdom and experience. It took you 50, 60 years to get this experience and wisdom. Let's start using it, and don't be afraid of it to learn new things. I know, look, personally, I manufactured LED lights, was an electrician, was an engineer, and now I'm building a media company using AI software, working with content creators and videographers and sound engineers. I have zero experience in any of that, but you just start. That's the best advice I can give anybody. Just start. And on day 100, you're so much more uh, prepared and understanding. And it does bring a sense of youthfulness back into your life when you're trying to learn a new task. You feel young and new. At least I do. I don't know if you have that same experience.
yeah, put yourself out there. I think that's exactly the best advice anyone can give. Take the chance, take the risk, put yourself out there.
Mm,
And one thing I also want to speak to is that wisdom. Yeah, I feel like I have a lot of experience, but I feel like I can learn just as much from young people. And I remember in my leadership and in my time in Parks and Recreation, I would really feel um, honored and humbled by the fact that I can learn from all my staff, even the person that's right out of college coming in. They have a different perspective, they have a different frame of reference, they have experiences as well, and they're in the pulse of really what's going on in the world because they're amidst in it. We're kind of at the tail end of that, and so there's so much to be learned from um, rookies
mhm,
and young people, and I learned that from my father and from other strong leaders that I had and mentors is everybody can give us lessons. Everybody can help us better ourselves, and we
Mhm.
can learn from each other.
Yeah.
And if you have the attitude that I'm above that, I'm afraid you're mistaken, and you're also losing out on a great opportunity that's right in your lap from the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely take those risks, get out, learn something new. It's kind of like, I never, I never, I never hear people regretting going to the gym. Once they go and they get back, they're glad they went. The
Mhm.
adversity and the challenge is always going, but not appreciating that you went. And so,
That's
I
so
like
true. Yeah, it's that first step.
that
Get
first
out
one.
the door. Yeah.
All right. So if now your company essentially is, if you can't have a full-blown IT staff or maybe even several IT disciplines in that staff, but you do need IT help, this is where your company comes in and can provide, 10 hours of IT or just whatever the agency needs, rather than them having to commit to a full-blown salary at their agency. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. We can either complement your in-house staff, or we can replace it and be your entire IT department.
Mhm.
And what the beauty of it is that we come with a wealth of specialties and experiences that you're not going to get from one employee or three employees.
I love that.
And then you get the consistency that, if somebody's sick or somebody's on vacation or you have turnover, that is not going to be impacting you. You're going to have that
Right.
ongoing. In Parks and Recreation, you know, we tend to wear a lot of hats. We wear the hats, and one of the things that amazed me throughout my career is that I had to learn construction and how to read blueprints. I had to
Mhm.
obviously, be a psychologist. I had to basically be a safety specialist, and it goes on and on. And, when you're doing a major capital construction project, you hire engineers, you hire architects, you hire specialists. Well, the same thing goes with IT, especially today. I think it's a mistake to think that, just one individual on your team can handle it all. And having an I team behind you who has the specialty and experiences and can be up with the ever changing, evolving
Mhm.
world of technology is where we come into play.
Give
Um,
us some examples of that as far as, IT is such a broad topic, but I think it encompasses both hardware and software, security, onboarding process, and then I also love how you said you're going to face turnover. There's never gonna be a seat that's a forever seat. People are going to come and go, and if you've only got one IT specialist at 40 hours a week, what does your world look like when he is sick or retires or gets a better job from somewhere else? And that's why I think having a partnership with a company like y'all really comes in clutch during those moments.
yeah, and it's always each individual community has to kind of weigh that out, but we give that benefit of and that comfort of knowing that you have a full army behind you, as opposed
Mhm,
to the one individual or the group of individuals. And again, we make it our job on every day to be staying up with what is changing in the industry. And that's hard to do if you're a team of one or just have a few IT people to really be in that growth learning mindset, especially because your exposure window is limited with the IT that you're working with within the agency. So that's something that we can bring to the table. Um, and it's my job to help open people's eyes to that and let people know that we're out there and we're the specialists that you can count on.
and so what are the kinda things that y'all do? What's in your
Um,
job
well,
scope of work?
obviously, yeah, we obviously handle your Wi-Fi and your security systems, your telecommunications, cameras, but most importantly, your cybersecurity and the protections that you need and the fortification that you need to ward off hacks and penetrations from the outside world, making sure that all your systems are collectively working together. One of the big difficulties that a lot of agencies have is, you do need software and you do need hardware, and what is the right uh, selection and choices in that regard? Because just like buying a car, there's a lot of opportunities, and you can pay for the Cadillac and get the Cadillac, but if you're not using all of its resources and it's not ultimately necessary and you can't afford it, then the Cadillac might not be your best. So we're really good at matching that to what your agency's needs are, and the realistic capabilities that you have in terms of your budgets, and finding innovative ways to bring you value and save you costs while giving you the protections that you need, is kind of where we specialize and focus. And help desk is obviously a big part of that. Is when somebody needs to get something figured out, and you have difficulty logging in or overcoming something, and where we specialize too is monitoring those things, and helping train people on obviously the best ways to use the systems that they have.
Yeah, and there's
So I'm
another
very fortunate that.
yeah, that's another great benefit is just because you hire an IT staff doesn't mean that they're trained for your systems. And so just training the people that you do bring on staff, having someone there that can kinda, get them up to speed, retrain someone after someone's left, maybe, unannounced kinda stuff. You're not in charge of training the IT person that you hire. Y'all help with the, hiring process or help vet people that y'all are working with? That might be something to
No,
do.
not really. I think my strength is I'm really a good read of people, and I can, one of the things that I really valued and focused on in my leadership was hiring. Make a good hire from the beginning, and you're going to see the long-term benefit. And
Mhm,
I think there tends to be, because we're distracted and we have so many things coming at us, that we tend to not put as much time into the hiring process and finding the right people.
mhm,
And I think the key is finding the right fit. You can teach skill, but the personality is going to be there, and are they the right fit? Are they going to complement and support, encourage, and advance your culture, or are they going to be an impediment to that?
mhm,
And if you just look at resumes and you speak to and look for skill, and the fit's not there, there's going to be regrets.
mm,
So it's really important that you put as much stock in that. And you can do assessments, and it's easy to tell if people have the competencies that they need. But are we really looking at that personality? Are we really looking at that attitude? Are we really looking at that individual psyche that will help your culture
mm,
be what you want it to be?
yeah,
Um, and I think that's really important, and something um, I strive to do when I was a leader as a park and rec um, director.
yeah. Now, maybe describe, the best fit, the best, fit between y'all and a good Parks and Rec system that you like. Parks and Rec systems that look like this are we didn't tend to do really well with.
Well, you obviously need to look to your mission, your vision, and values as an agency. If you don't have those, that should be something that you spend time to acquire. But are they going to help you advance your mission?
Mhm,
Are they buying into your vision? And do they uphold and practice your values?
mhm,
And that is what you need to be exploring as part of that interview process.
mm,
And asking the right questions, looking at who they are as an individual, behind the the facade of the career person. So,
mm,
and there's methods and madness to how one can do that beyond the questions. One of
yeah,
the things I did, I when I would take people on tours of a facility or of areas that they might have responsibility, I would tend to walk fast in and out of places and upstairs. and I would look to see, are they keeping pace with me,
Hmm.
or are they lagging? And that
Yeah.
that could be an indicator of what type of individual are they. Are they kind of, more of a slacker, or are they eager and they, running up the stairs with you?
Hmm.
I would pick up garbage on my way from the parking lot after I would take them to lunch into the building. Did they stop and assist me, or did they look at me like oddly, like, why am I doing that? Because my values are
Oh, I
that we're
love it.
all we're all part of that. We should all be, doing the janitorial duties if we can, and being the role model. And so little things like that can be a great indicator of what individual you potentially could be hiring.
I love that. That needs to be a hiring practice, Parks and Rec nationwide. Go run through the parking lot, pick up trash, see who keeps up with you. And that's going to be like on the test score. Picked up trash, ran past me.
Hmm.
Um, Man, I can't believe we're already at 55 minutes. I did not get
Wow.
through. Um, okay, obviously we can't talk about this now, but maybe give us a little teaser as to the benefits movement that you were a part of, and we're gonna have to cover that on the next show because we've only got like 3 or 4 minutes left.
Yeah, this day and age, with marketing and promotions and everything, it's to get ahead of the competition. And I know I spoke earlier about we really shouldn't look at it as competition, but in order to get the word out and to get people participating and get people active, we really need to sell ourselves, and we need to sell the outcomes, not the features. So we're
Mhm,
really good at selling, hey, we have a wonderful aquatic park with all these neat water slides and a wave pool, and that's what we're selling. And what we should be selling is the outcomes, that we're going to be able to give you a positive experience. We're going to be able to help your children learn to swim. We're going to be a venue for community connection. That's what the benefits is all about, is sell the outcomes that our programs, facilities, and opportunities provide, and not focus solely on the features.
mm,
Um, and what would the community be like if it were absent of us?
mm,
If you were to disappear, if the parks were to disappear, if the rec center were to disappear, what would the community be like? Obviously, people aren't congregating at the police department or at the
mhm.
fire department. They're
Right.
necessary and they provide a wonderful service to us. But where are they congregating? Where are they going to relieve their stress? Where are they going to obviously connect and grow and develop their skills, physical, mental, emotional? It's the parks, it's the recreational facilities. So
Mhm.
focus on that. That's I guess the message here.
Yeah, so I really want to do a deeper dive into that because I think it's such an important part of pitching the value. And really, all of us are in sales 24/7. And so you should constantly be better understanding the value you provide, the benefit of being a part of your community, so that you can share that message and get more support. Because a lot of times the park and rec director is the mouthpiece, like the main mouthpiece
Mhm.
of the whole department, and so it's important for you to have wrap your head around that in a deep and meaningful way. Well,
Yeah, and just in kind of closing, I just want to stress, what I feel real good about in my career and me as a human is, building relationships.
mm,
And can't understate the importance of that. And this day and age right now, we need to be coming together, and we need to be growing together, and we need to be learning together, and we need to be supporting one another, and we need to focus on those relationships. And what a I couldn't think of a better industry to help do that and to be part of. So, for those that are young in their careers, or those who, veterans in your careers, I think you'll agree with me that, relationships, mentors, people that we can turn to for one another for help, that's what makes us all better and makes our society better and our communities better.
yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for attending the show, Matthew, and I can't wait to have you back on again, share more of this life lessons and all the wisdom that you've gained over the years. How can people find you on LinkedIn or anywhere else if they would like to maybe see about using the IT services that you provide now?
Yeah, my email I'd be glad to provide. It's M Ellman, so that's two L's, two N's, at l6tech.com. That's my email. And
I'm gonna put it in the
on LinkedIn
headline.
as well.
What was that one
And
more time?
it's M Ellman, Ellmann, at l6tech.com.
At L6, the SIX, or just the number six?
The number six, yeah,
L6. I'm gonna just
dot
put
com. And I
L6.
do have a LinkedIn as well. And
Is that right?
uh, you forgot the M in Ellman,
Okay, let me,
Ellmann.
that way it'll be
At,
part of
and it's L6 Tech, Tech.
L6. Actually, wait, you put it in,
In
sorry for
the
the technical. Yeah. Here we go. Copy. This is gonna be much easier. That way it'll be part of the show. There we go. Is that correct?
there you go. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
And the message here is, we all are in this together, so continue to support each other. I think having this venue to obviously help spread the word and connect people is just wonderful. So thanks for what you're doing
oh
to
yeah.
help spread the word and connect people.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I love this new life segment of mine, learning about media. I was fortunate enough to learn this trial run for a year and a half in the Bitcoin community. But there were so many great content creators there that kind of helped, mold to what I'm doing today. But yeah, this industry, fortunately or unfortunately, does not have near the depth and breadth of content creators working on this industry. So it's really an honor to be, I guess, one of the few first ones trying to represent this industry in this new digital age, where you can actually have an entire media channel dedicated to a whole industry, similar to how sports and music and politics have had entire networks for decades. I'm really enjoying creating a network for and a media company for Parks and Rec, because y'all are definitely deserving of it, and you got content for days. I could probably have a 24/7 network just on Parks and Rec if I had the bandwidth. Maybe one day we'll get there, but yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show, and have a great rest of your week. And let me know if I can do anything for you.
Well, thank you so much, and all of you out there, keep doing the great work you're doing. So you're definitely valued.
Yeah, fantastic. Good seeing you, Matthew.
Okay, you too. Bye
Yep.
bye.
All right, so that was Matthew Ellmann. He is one of the great directors. 40 years in Parks and Rec, 20 years as a director in a tremendous state. Super active in the community, volunteering his time and wisdom to give back, in addition to running an entire agency. But and then now he's working in the private world of IT, trying to help Parks and Rec communities that really, I mean, that's an area that I think Parks and Rec will, I say Parks and Rec, everybody's going to struggle with the adoption pace and rate of technology, what can be done, the threats through, cybersecurity are constant. And so having someone not only that's good at what they do on their team, but somebody that understands Parks and Rec at a deep level is going to be a huge advantage, because with Matthew, he understands Parks and Rec and has faced all the technical problems that y'all are facing, and then he can leverage all of that knowledge and wisdom into the IT solution. So if you're needing someone to just kind of partner with, or take over the full time staff or whatever, I think he can fit just about anything y'all need. But on top of that, man, just a ton of wisdom. So I really appreciate you coming on the show, Matthew. All right. So we're moving right along on this maintenance show. It's going to be a 5 day a week show starting at 11 a.m. Eastern. I created a LinkedIn group of superintendents and people that were heavy into the maintenance side of Parks and Recreation. So if you're listening to this and you have someone, either a superintendent that's doing really well, or if you have somebody that maybe is a specialist, say in irrigation or lighting, or um, could be, spraying chemicals, anything to do with maintaining this huge portfolio of facilities that y'all have to manage. That's what this show is going to be dedicated for. And so we're just now starting the lineup of speakers that are coming on the show to show, and we can even invite vendors. So if you've got a vendor that's maybe good at is doing a good job for robotics in lawnmowers or field striping or irrigation or any control, smart cities, anything like that. If it has anything to do with maintaining facilities, operating facilities for Parks and Rec, this is what the show is going to be all about. Now, the noon show is still going to be mostly centered on leadership in the community. So that's assistant directors, directors, superintendents are speaking on that as well. We're still going to run this show 5 days a week. I say that 4 days a week because on Fridays, starting this Friday, we have a show every Friday dedicated to YPN, so Young Professionals Network. So if you are new to Parks and Rec, you're a young professional or you're a new director or whatever, you've been in this industry for under, I think it's 5 years, if it's within your first 5 years, or even if you're in college pursuing a degree, the Friday show is for you. Now that's going to be, we're feeling our way through it. It's going to be a panel this Friday. So we'll have like 5 or 6 people in YPN. Gabby and Molly are our 2 ringleaders that are going to be heading up that show, but we've got about 3 or 4 others that will be joining us as well. And then we'll just kind of share the workload of showing up every Friday with 1 or 2 of these people, creating a panel for YPN, talking about YPN topics, that kind of stuff. But it's just going to be 52 shows a year, every Friday, YPN, that starts this Friday. Don't have an actual start date for the maintenance show starting at 11, but I imagine we've already got a list of names coming in. We're chatting back and forth every day. We're working on it. Got a great team working on that. I'm assuming probably first or second week of April, or well, we're already in the first week of April pretty much. That will be launching. All right. So how can you support this show? Well, of course, you can buy this LED light right here. Getting a lot of requests on that, describing it, asking me to describe a little bit more what the good fit is. So here's the good fit for this light. This is a world-class fixture. I am a lighting engineer by trade. It's what I did in a former life. I designed explosion-proof lights for chemical plants, corrosive environments in the great state of Louisiana, where we produce most of your chemicals and gasoline. And I think we have 25% of the nation's manufacturing capacity for petrochemical in Louisiana, along Mississippi and the Delta and stuff like that. So that was my upbringing. It was there that I made explosion-proof lights, street lights, and then eventually this little guy right here, a sports arena light. And of course, I engineered it with all the quality and longevity and durability that explosion, high corrosive saltwater environment kind of forced me into. And so this sucker will not quit. It's got a 100,000-hour lifespan. I use some of the best components, but I also knew that I was working with a lot of smaller communities, rural communities that really just needed a good fixture. They didn't need a whole lighting system. They weren't tearing a whole system down or starting from scratch or making some big, 10 field multi-million-dollar. They just need to get rid of their old metal halide lights and put a good solid fixture up that was going to have zero maintenance, zero problems, pretty much till the end of time. And so I built this thing for them. This is something you hand to your maintenance department. This is a fixture that you hand to your local electrician. And instead of him going up the pole or up the lift with bulbs and ballasts and swapping out those old metal halide bulbs and ballasts, he takes the whole fixture down, undoes the one bolt, puts this fixture back on, hooks 3 wires, and we'll all be pushing up daisies before this thing gives you any trouble. Guaranteed on my end, because I personally engineered this light to just take the heat in South Louisiana, coming from background in lighting engineering and stuff. So if that looks like something for you, if you have a neighborhood park that has like 30 lights on it, 8 are out. A lot of our departments order, 5 lights, 1 light, 8 lights, and they just give them to their service department, their maintenance department, replace the lights as they go out. That's a perfect fit for us. If you're looking for a big system like that, like a Musco system or something similar to that, there's other people that compete at that level. That's on the opposite end of the industry that we serve. So if you look at the Parks and Rec people that we serve best, it's like for your little tennis court, pickleball courts, neighborhood parks, remote parks, and we partner with Outdoor Link to control these very simply. I'm getting close to putting a special on that if you start using enough of our lights, then I will buy you an Outdoor Link system just because I really believe in that company and that system and the guys that are behind it. Awesome, well-run business. So shout out to DJ and Tanya and David, Joseph, awesome guys, Craig as well. So if you want to control your systems through a very simple app on your phone and just flip, there goes that ball field, this goes that ball field, you can hand this to coaches and stuff and they can flip it on and off. So you can delete running out on a weekend when the lights are left on. You can delete having to make multiple keys. You can delete wasting all this electricity when lights are left on. That's a great control system, something I've used, my clients have used, and I really back that company. And there are supporters of this channel as well. So that's how you can support the channel. Anything you can do, either through light sales or work any kind of sales for this, I will guarantee 100% of the profit derived from that is going back into building this media company for Parks and Recreation, because that's my passion and that's what our team is here for. So thank y'all so much for supporting us in that way. Check out our latest episodes. They've made a little country jingle for the Daily Parks and Rec Show. We're really starting to highlight. So if you go check out our YouTube channel, look at episode 88, I think, starting with Devin Stalder over in Saurarita. They created a great little short before, a little highlight reel. And man, we've got some great content creators now that are really starting to polish up these episodes and these videos. So thank you so much, Chris and Kathleen, for all the hard work y'all are doing. And we've got a team of other people that are helping us as well in all kind of capacities. Thank you for all the volunteers that are helping us put together the YPN episode on Fridays, and the Garrett, thank you for helping us put together this maintenance show coming at 11. We've got a couple other people. Jacob joined the team. David's joined the team. So thank y'all for all the efforts y'all are doing to help put on good programming for Parks and Recreation. Love doing this, getting a lot of love and support. And we're gonna keep at it. That's my promise to y'all, is that we're gonna show up every day, create better and better and better content. If you know of anyone that you would like to see on the show, or somebody, I'll give you a great example. Jamie Sabak, she's a legend out of Colorado. She was recommended by 4 directors when I asked the question, who do you recommend? If there's any other Jamie Sabaks out there, or any other Sevis out there, or any other Matthews out there, please recommend them to me. Find me on LinkedIn and say, you got to get this person on the show. And I know I'm leaving some others out that I've been told about, but we're going to do our best to get them on the show to share the wisdom that they've had, because many of these people have super powerful messages. Even if it's somebody that you've seen at a national or state convention, we want to give them, this platform is for them. This platform is for their message. And because we're new at understanding the national treasures, because there's so many from ocean to ocean, we need your help to make those suggestions. And then we'll do the legwork of getting them involved, getting them plugged in. I'll do the pre-show call. We'll prep everything, and we'll get them on the show. But we just need your help suggesting who y'all want on the show, or who y'all think would be a good fit for the show. So appreciate all the help there. And by the way, almost all of the current guests are recommendations of the audience and the crowd. So a lot of crowd wisdom going on there. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. I'm running 12 minutes over, but thank you guys for all the love and support. Thank you for all the encouragement. Day 1 of an awesome week, getting ready to start April. Got a lot of exciting stuff happening here at the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Craig Leblanc, the doorman, signing off. I'll be here tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern, for your Daily Parks and Rec Show. Love you guys. Bye.
When you invest in our high-performance LED sports arena lights, you're not just upgrading your facilities, you're helping us illuminate the untold stories of parks and recreation communities. Every purchase directly supports the Daily Parks and Rec Show, a media platform on a mission to celebrate the heart and soul of our local parks and programs. From after-school activities to summer leagues, these spaces shape lives, and their stories deserve to be told. Why your support matters. Capturing community impact. Your contribution helps us assemble a talented team of digital artists, storytellers, and filmmakers to create compelling videos, articles, and short films that spotlight how Parks and Rec programs change lives. Sharing untold stories. From a child's first home run to lifelong friendships forged on the court, we'll document these priceless moments and share them with the world. Inspiring the next generation. By highlighting the joy, inclusivity, and opportunities found in our parks, we foster a deeper appreciation for these vital community spaces. Light up arenas, brighten futures. Your choice to install LED sports arena lights isn't just a smart investment in energy efficiency and performance, it's an investment in stories that deserve to be told. Be part of the story. Take action today. Purchase LED sports arena lights and help us shine a spotlight on the heartwarming stories that define our parks and communities. Contact us now to learn more about our products and how your support fuels the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Together, we'll shine a light on the moments that matter most.